Alright, everyone. Welcome, my name is EctoBones, Ecto for short, and today I will be showing you all how to draw an anime head, more specifically a female. But this is just the way I do it, and the way that I find it easiest, so, put your own spin on it if you would like. Everyone's style is a little different, but we're just gonna hop right into it. First, I like to start out with, I got my canvas open. Start out with a sort of sketchy brush. I'm not sure what brushes you have, but I'm using Paint Tool Sai. Alright, so once you've got your brush picked, what you'll want to do is start with a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And just for the sake of this video, we're going to draw kind of a slightly 3/4 view, because I find that's the easiest to start with when starting out drawing. I am not a professional by any means, but we all start somewhere, right? Alright, so once you've got your circle, you're going to want to just kind of put a line halfway through it, like this. And essentially this is going to be where your nose is going to go, but you'll want to bring it down to however long you want your face to be, because this is going down here is going to be your chin. But we're just going to go with a normal, relatively normal face shape. So once you got that, you'll want to start over here to the left, or at least I start over to the left. You bring it out like this, and you kind of make a cheekbone about halfway through. And when you get towards the tip of the line you drew, you want to start curving it upwards a little bit and bring it out a little farther, and then put your other cheekbone. Alright, so you should be able to start seeing a face now, or at least a head. So you'll start back up here at this left-hand side again, and you're going to make a larger circle, and it goes to the tip of the right cheekbone that you drew. And I'm just going to rotate my drawing a little bit. Alright, so once you have your larger circle, and you can always do that if it helps you see the circle better. So about probably a third of the way up from the circle, you're going to draw a line all the way over to where the top of your cheekbone is. This is going to be where your eyes are. For instance, you'll have an eye here, an eye here, and like I said, your nose is going to be right here where they intersect. So you can go ahead and draw a little makeshift nose if you'd like. And about halfway between the chin and the bottom of the nose, you're going to be drawing a face. For this tutorial, we're just going to keep it pretty simple. Put a little smile on her. Alright, and for head pieces, I usually like to go ahead and draw the neck, so I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. You start at the back here. Let me add a new layer just for this. So, a lot of people, when they first started out drawing, they tend to put the neck like here and here, which overall that doesn't look too bad. That's pretty much what we're gonna do, but you don't want the neck to be too thin. Like, if you can tell right now, it's like this much bigger than the head. That's not really how heads work. So instead you want to come from the back of the head and come forward, and then it tapers out a little bit. And then near your other cheekbone, that neck's a little thick. We'll back it up a little bit. About halfway in between your chin and your cheekbone. And I always add these lines. It's pretty much just the way your neck naturally curves, because technically this would be the little U shape in between your collarbones, which would be like this, but we're not getting into that right now. And I'm just gonna cap this off. Alright, so you have something that should look relatively similar to this. Like a very scary looking head with soulless eyes. Alright, so what I usually do is I go ahead and put my ears on. So there's many types of ears in the world, but just for this video I'm gonna put very simple human ears. Not like myself that has gigantic elf ears and dog ears, but just for reference, your eyes are about to the tip. Like, the middle of your eye is about close to the starting point of where your ear would be. So just pull that down, and I usually, my noses only go maybe to the tip of the nose or the underneath of the nose. This is a very anime styled tutorial because, come on, let's face it, anime's cool, right? Everybody wants to draw anime. But yeah, there's our ear. Now that you have this finished, we're going to go ahead and lower the opacity on this. And if you're following along with like paper and pencil or something, and not digitally like I'm drawing it, you want to make your base sketch like this as lightly as possible, so you'll be able to see it, but you won't be able to see it too thick underneath the line art. Alright, so the next step is eyes. We're going to focus on the eyes. So, a little background for anime styled eyes. The biggest difference between anime styled eyes is anime eyes, especially with females, are typically very large. I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can because we're not going to keep this. They're very large and usually have a top and a bottom eyelash. And then they have these really big irises, right? Right, okay. Whereas, realistically, eyes kind of look more like almonds. And the biggest difference is the fact that the top and the bottom lashes actually do touch and meet. And they have a little tear duct. And the iris is round. So our human eyes look more like this rather than animes look like this. My style, however, is kind of in between. It's an anime style, but it fits more along the category of this one. So I'm going to do it Probably both ways, just to show you that you can mix it up if you would like. Alright. So, when it comes to eyes, if you're doing this digitally, it's not too big of an, an issue if you draw the eye the wrong size, but I typically start at the line, go up, and then come back up to make these little wings for the lashes. I add lashes to my eyes. You don't have to have lashes if you don't want to. And then this part will go down a little bit, and then I just thicken it up. Perfect. And we're gonna go ahead and add the eyelid while we're here. Most anime eyelids are nothing special. They're just literally a line here and a line there. You can choose like this one over here. You can choose if you want that to be like, let's see, inward like this, or outward. It doesn't matter. It typically only matters if you're making a perspective piece, in the fact that you would see your eyelid more rounded from a different angle. But we're just going to leave it like that. And I start relatively close to the upper lid, but I do not connect them. And then I will make a relatively almond shape. And as I get closer to that upper lash, I am going to make it thicker. So it'll gradually get thicker. And I like to add a little bit of eyelashes to mine. It's all a style choice. And what I'm drawing down here is kind of like my lower eyelash, but I'm actually going to move it up a little. It doesn't need to be that far away. Alright, about there is good. Alright, so now we have a relatively okay eye. Though, if you do see, it is relatively big for this face. So, what you're going to want to do, if you are on a computer like I am, you can just go to your transform tool and resize it a little bit. Remember to kind of keep it near the line that you drew across for the eyes. Alright, and before we get started on the iris and where she's looking and all that stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other eye. So honestly, the quickest and easiest way to do the other eye without actually having to draw it is you can copy and paste it and flip it. Now, since this is a 3/4 view, it's not gonna look perfect. You'll have to like resize it, make it smaller, like that. And you always want to flip your canvas to make sure everything is looking okay. And you know, that's not the worst. It's definitely a start. For those of you that aren't drawing on a computer, me personally, it's very hard for me to draw the other eye, but it is doable. But the thing you have to remember when you draw traditionally is you can't just flip the canvas like you're drawing that's on the canvas, right? So I usually start about here and just try to make it as, you know, uniformly like the other one. Honestly though, this is probably going to be the hardest part of drawing traditionally, or at least it is for me, is trying to draw the other eye. When I first started out drawing, I would always, you know, give my character like the bangs that cover like one eye so I didn't have to draw it. But it'd be like that. But what you do want to keep in mind when you go to draw your eyes are roughly one eye length apart from each other. So like, see how this eye fits in between these two eyes? That's a good distance. Because you don't want to, like for instance, the first eye we drew, you don't want them to be like too close. And you don't want them to be like too far away because it's just gonna look weird. But instead you want to have them at least one eye length apart. Or eye width apart, rather. Alright, so for the next part, we're gonna do eyebrows. And eyebrows are not super complex or complicated. I usually just use a thicker brush for my sketch and just draw my eyebrow. And typically with eyebrows, I do like to make them at the tip of the ear for normal ears. If you have ears like mine, it won't matter. But for human ears, I like to just put them on that. Sorry, I'm sick, so I keep losing my voice. But yeah, you just start out with a line. But since we're doing like sort of anime stylish, the line would probably be a little thinner. And like I said, you can like curve it, make it any kind of shape you want. You can even, you know, do like really bushy brows if you would like. It's all up to you. Eyebrows are less intense than anything else. I like to just make mine that shape. And this is a style choice, but you can also add like loose hairs, or if, you know, you got a frown going on, you can do that to indicate it. And most people do say that eyebrows are cousins, not twin sisters or some crap like that. But I like to just copy it over and then resize it. And I think I'm actually going to lower them a little bit. That's the good thing about digital art, is you can change things if it doesn't look quite right. You know, you can flip your canvas. And I now see that after I flip the canvas, this one looks a little too thick now, so we'll bring it down, angle it a little bit. There we go. She's starting to look like somebody. I don't know who, but she's looking like somebody. Alright. So the next thing we're gonna do is nose. We're gonna save the irises till the end because honestly, it's probably the easiest thing we'll do here. I'm trying to make this video as quick as possible, but also as informative as I can. I'm probably not the best teacher, but if I help anybody out, then I have succeeded. Alright, so for the nose, you're going to start where you drew this middle line here. You're going to just bring it down in the general nose shape. Now, a lot of anime have like just this kind of nose, And that's not bad if that's what you're going for. You can even like have a little line for the turn up place, put your little nostril in, add some jewelry if that's what your character has or what you're going for. It doesn't matter. But noses, they come in all shapes and sizes. I personally like to do this with mine. I'll draw that line. Then I'll draw the nose hole. Bring out this line. And curve it up a little. And this is just a style choice, but I put a line here just to give it a little bit more shaping. And I don't like how that looks, so I'm gonna make it a little pointier. Alright. And I'll add a little flare over here. Alright, so that nose does look a little big for her face, so we're going to size it down. Alright, that looks better. Alright, so mouths are... what is the word I'm looking for? Mouths can be very expressive. So it's pretty much a whatever expression you're going for kind of thing. If she's smiling, she's gonna be like this. If she's grinning, she might have a little tail turned up at the end. If she's frowning, she might just be, you know, she has turned down lips. If she's complacent, she might just have, you know, the normal lines. If you've seen anime, you know what their face expressions look like. But for those of you that haven't watched anime, but just like manga or whatever, just think about it as in real life. You wouldn't really have like this solid line and do this with the lips. That's more realistic style, and we're not really looking for that. We're doing anime today. But we're just gonna go with a simple smile, since that's what our sketch was. And for mouths, I don't, unless it's like a Joker situation, I don't typically go past the ends of the mouth to the middle of the eye. And everybody has a Cupid's bow. So put a little Cupid's bow and the bottom of the bottom lip. There we go. And flip it. Looks halfway decent. Alright. And if you notice, I keep lowering the opacity of my sketch, and that is because I don't want it to really influence the lines that I'm making. Because when you go to do your jaw shape and things here in a second, which we're gonna do, you don't want your sketch to like influence it if it's not 100% accurate. And sketches, they're never 100% accurate. No matter how good the sketch is, when you draw it again and again, like if you do, this is like a more cleaned up sketch, it's going to change from the original sketch, and then when you line art it, it's probably going to change again, just because you can't draw the same line twice. And you also, the more you draw, you see things that, oh, that doesn't quite look right, so you just change it along the way. And that's pretty much what we're doing. Alright, so I like to start out doing the chin. And you'll notice that most like anime style stuff, they're very pointy, like this. I don't much care for pointy jaws and chins in my anime art, so I typically go with a more rounded point. Alright, that looks pretty good. You're pretty much just following your basic sketch at this point, but doing it in a way that you think looks correct. So, with this other side, however, there's going to be less of the cheek and the bone showing. So you're just going to have it slightly rounded. And it's going to kind of dip in a little bit where the eye is. Like that. And it doesn't look too bad, but I'm going to alter it just a little bit. Actually, that made it worse. Okay, we're just going to leave it alone. And then the ear is pretty self-explanatory. If you don't know how to draw an ear, it's just like a backwards C. Well, that's kind of a bad ear. It's like a backwards C. Wow, I cannot draw an ear today. Alright, so it's like a backwards C motion. And this ear is a little too big, but I'll resize it after we're done. Alright, and then you'll want to put your little... I don't know what that's called. I know the piercing you get there is a tragus, but you want to make sure your earlobe, the inside of your ear canal, and then your little cartilage pieces. And then you can just put a little light line over here for that. And if you have trouble with the proportions of like your ears, your eyes, your nose and stuff, honestly just look in the mirror and you can always take your finger and like draw a line from your bottom of your nose to your ear and see where it falls. And just for the heck of it, we're gonna put a little, give her a few piercings here. Alright, and you would slightly see her ear, so I'm just gonna copy and drag this one over. Though, you are gonna see the absolute smallest bit of her ear. So you don't want it all to be showing. Like this. And then we're going to go ahead and follow the sketch that we did earlier for her head. Now, head shapes are a little weird. You don't want her, well, you might want her to look like an alien, but typically they're pretty rounded. You don't want it to be like this, like way up here, like an egg head or cone head or, you know, anything like that. And you don't want it too small. Like, if it's too small, when you go to put your hair on it, the hair's not going to fall in the right spot, etc. But just make it a decent shape, decent size. And then we're going to go ahead and do the neck. The neck is honestly probably my favorite part of drawing heads, even though it's not part of the head, it's the neck. But we don't want our neck to be too long, so let me shorten it up a little bit. Alright, so you should have a relatively decent looking head. So for the last thing we're going to do before I let you guys go and stop wasting your time is we're going to draw some irises. And irises, like all things in anime and art, it all depends how you want them to look. You can give them a more realistic, make them circles, add the pupils, do it like that. She looks kind of crazy, honestly, but you can make it like that. I personally don't like them like that. And it all depends how you want her to be looking. Typically when I have the 3/4 view like this, I like to do a little side glance, like looking towards us, the camera, whatever you want to call it. So I will typically start with this eye over on the right, which is the portrait's left, and I will just fill this in. And then I'll do that on both sides. And there you go, you got some irises. So to go ahead and touch on the eyes real quick, when it comes to placing your pupils, pupils can say a lot about where your subject is looking. So for instance, if you put your pupils over there, it'll look like she's looking that way. So you want to make sure your pupils are where your irises are looking. So since she's technically looking kind of this way, we're going to put them in the middle of the iris. And you can add all kinds of things to eyes to make them pop. Especially in a sketch, you can draw like little lines. You can even add your eye shines. Like that. And then you can just keep adding stuff. Anything that you think it just needs. So I'm gonna go, these eyes are a little too wide for my liking, and I'm just gonna go ahead and make the upper lash a little thicker. Eyes are also a good way to tell what age your drawing is. But yeah, this is our beautiful little bald woman, and I will do another tutorial showing you how to draw hair, or at least how I draw hair. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope this at least helped a little bit. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, or if you have anything you would like me to draw in the future or make tutorial on, please just let me know in the comment, and feel free to like and subscribe. Bye guys!